Freedom, freedom, freedom over fame. Freedom over cycle stays the same.
Welcome into this episode of How to Ride a Roller Coaster. My guest today is the one and only Landon Ledford. How's it going, my friend?
It's going amazing. Just amazing. Simply amazing.
So, and I have to start right away. Before we even delve into background, any of that kind of stuff, where you are in business, you, my friend, are a first-time dad. I mean, what, 2 weeks in now?
I am.
Maybe 2 weeks?
Not counting, but 3 weeks, 2 days, and about 4 hours.
Not counting at all, huh?
Yeah, not counting at all. But, yesterday, this little baby child, as I call her, started at least looking at me. So my life is gradually shifting a little more every day to a level of excitement I didn't know I could have. It's freaking awesome, man. It's so cool.
Have you had any sleep? I mean, I know I know the answer to that before you say it, but
Right. Sleep is interesting. I've had it in spurts, enough to keep rolling, and the beauty of it, which we'll probably hit on today, is I work from home. I set my own hours, which really means, things are always on. So if I don't get enough sleep at night, I can go take a little nappy during the day or whatever I got to do,
So let's delve into it. Tell me a little bit more about your story and how you got to where we are now.
Yeah, it's a story. Dude, and I happen to know you're from Louisiana as well. So I am a, redneck from Louisiana, born, raised, educated, and, growing up, my dad kind of kept pointing to me like, you know what? Love this place. It's a great place to be. But you know what? If you're going to do more stuff, just get out. Get down the road. Find a big city. And if you want to talk all that noise about being an entrepreneur or thinking you're smart, well, go swing for the fence and give it a whirl. So came over to Dallas, 11, 12 years ago. And since then, it's been marketing firms and, working in the publishing industry. And, another fun thing, I told my dad when I was 17 that I wanted to be a consultant. And my dad's extremely supportive, also entrepreneurial. And he looked at me and said, okay, about what? Like, what do you don't know anything. What are you going to talk about? I said, I don't know, but I'm going to be a consultant. Watch.
I'm going to be a consultant.
And it was just all about, like, I like people. I like humans. I like problem solving. And I understand human psychology a little bit. So I knew I wanted to go into the more marketing or entrepreneurial worlds. And I decided I was going to tie them all together. So Dallas, been here ever since. I've had my about 2 years of a bounce up to Denver, a little higher altitude than Louisiana or Dallas, and we can delve into that as much as you want, but it was a hell of a learning from a entrepreneurial journey and focus on, life versus happiness versus business versus money versus doing the things you love around people you love. So that's what brought me back here to Dallas, yeah.
So let's go right there. Mm-hmm. Tell me about Denver.
Man, I was running my marketing firm, so Double L Brands, namesake, pretty creative. For a marketing guy, I'm not that creative, ironically. But that's the whole story of Double L Brands, though. I surround myself with people that do know what they're doing from a creative or execution standpoint. But I was running that for a few years, young, in my kind of mid-20s, and I didn't structure it right, so I was burning the candle at both ends, working too hard here in Dallas, and ironically, as I'm telling the story, I'm fixing my extra backrest for a reason you'll understand here shortly. So met some guys up in Denver. I was consulting a winery up there and trying to help them scale and franchise it out from the brand and growth side of things. And, met some guys, one of their investors, and decided I was going to move up to Colorado to right outside of Denver and launch a tech startup. So we'll keep it pretty short. I moved up there. It's in the music video streaming world. Moved up, swung for the fence, decided I was going to help build this billion-dollar company. Put my marketing firm on hold-ish. Still had some clients, and I did just that. Swung for the fence. We were trying to go into Techstars. We were doing these events that you might know a little about, where you go and startups and entrepreneurs go pitch their business and kind of talk about what they're doing to build momentum and raise some funds. So I did all that. Did the dog and pony show. Was loving it until we started seeing that the venture we were working on was going to be an uphill battle. And while I was committed to that, I was going to have to keep going west. Probably go to San Francisco. Probably go do the dog and pony show. Raise the big money and all that fun stuff. About the time we committed to that, I went mountain biking with some of my new friends. And ironically, so the name of the podcast here, my life has been a roller coaster in that realm. In that, went mountain biking with my new buddies. Was pretty. I don't know if you know anything about Louisiana. Well, you do. I don't know if everyone else does. The elevation is not extreme. There is a really nice city dump, trash dump that has a little bit of elevation, but that's about it. So fast forward.
That's our mountain, yeah.
Right, that's the mountain, right. So now you've got me on an actual mountain in Steamboat Springs, actually, trying to race some guys to the top. You only see me from here up right now. I got short, stubby legs. Not exactly the most athletic cat in the world. So anyway, get to the top of this mountain a little bit slower than everybody. Being competitive, told these guys I was going to beat them down, and I did beat them on the race to the bottom. I went over the handlebars, kind of broke the neck, a few shattered vertebrae here and there, and I beat them to the bottom via a bike, kind of a unicycle / stretcher. Got to the bottom, next day had a little surgery, and all this sounds like some type of sob story, but the point of this whole trip and how that ties back into the back thing behind me here is, broke the neck, really kind of opened my eyes to life and what can or cannot happen in the blink of an eye. So cliche, I can go into as many cliches as you want about it, but that was the start. That was the Denver and the beginning of the trip back to DFW to focus back on marketing, on my marketing firm.
So where was your headspace when all of that happened? I mean, not in the actual instance of it happening, but right after, because I mean, that's a life-changing event, honestly.
Man, it was, I'd been head down, focused on this startup for a long time, a year and a half, it felt like a long time. And, burning the candle at both ends, working hard, just focused. And as soon as this happened, I'm looking around and realizing, again, like I said, life flashes before your eyes and you see things a little differently. For me, what it came to was I just had this weird kind of overwhelming feeling of happiness first. It's being a dude, masculine dude in your upper 20s, happiness first, it kind of comes off a little goofy maybe. My buddies are like, what are you talking about, bro? People helping people, what does that even mean? But, you go through some stuff and you realize that at the end of the day, if you're not happy, if you're not doing something that lights your fire or that gets you moving or that makes you feel fulfilled, then what the hell are we doing here? And that's where my head went. And, I went from that to got the marketing firm back going, and still something didn't feel right. I'm going to run through this, but I ended up on a boat in the Bahamas, actually. This is not me bragging, by the way. This is me going, holy cow, where am I? Took a break, paused life again, and then that was when it really all hit. You know what? I need to get back down, closer to the family and the friends, the network that I've built, the people that I've surrounded myself that allowed me to be where I was, even though where I was technically was, recovering from a broken neck. In my headspace was in a pretty good spot. So then I got back here, man, and I just started focusing on not swinging for the fence, but on building a marketing firm and future businesses from that allow me to live the life I need to do it for myself and be happy and surround myself with the right people. So that's kind of what got me back here.
Such a powerful story that just encapsulates so much. So how does that then translate to the everyday?
Yep.
How do you stay in that the focus of grateful, the focus of happiness first? And I mean, you and I have known each other for a while, and I mean, I love your tagline of people helping people, because I think that really resonates where we're from.
Yep.
If there's a storm or anything that comes through Louisiana and trees fall down on the road, trees fall down on the power lines, the first thing you see are people on four-wheelers with chainsaws cutting them down and getting it off people's property. It's kind of one of those things that it just feels natural to us, I guess, when it's making introductions, making connections, helping those people that are next to you. But I also know that that's not the case everywhere.
Yeah.
So how does that affect you, and how do you do that on a daily basis to stay grounded, not dip back into burning the candle at both ends? Because entrepreneurship's tough, and you got to wear every single hat, and the days can just kind of get away from you.
Yep. No, all that is exactly right. And it's interesting. So my whole business model for my marketing firm, what we'll speak to is, again, same thing. I started just trying to make money and wanting to build out a marketing firm in a way that, allowed me to do what made me happy and kept my passion ignited. But I didn't want to go work for the man yet. I didn't want to just do what I was supposed to do. As you can tell by me wearing a fishing shirt and living in this office I'm in right now, I kind of do what I want. So, but when I say that, that's funny. I say I do what I want. I think the difference and what keeps me grounded is I don't say that, and I'm confident saying that publicly, because it's not like I'm saying I do what I want. I got the money I need. No, I'm working. I'm focused on career, starting from happiness as a foundational element and working outward and kind of building everything around me. So that means building teams that support me, because I don't know everything. Hell, I don't know that much. I know strategy. I know how to build a brand from a growth trajectory, we'll say, and I surround myself with teams that allow me to do that. So to tie that back to the people helping people part, that has tied in because I focus on small to medium-sized businesses now. I started going for big businesses, again, bigger budgets, but instead I've, over the years, geared that toward small to medium-sized businesses because it allows me to, in the hours in a day, have a greater impact on the humans behind the businesses than just an amazing marketing campaign that builds an inanimate brand, right? So like people helping people ties into business that way. It ties into my teams, it ties into my teams because I bring in teams that are having fun, that are happiness first, that are doing things that enable them to grow personally and professionally first. And I put them in the position with me to keep learning, keep growing, and being happy with what they're doing. So the people helping people, I do that because it's still hard for me to say without kind of laughing and giggling about it being cliche. But it's literally driven the type of clients I have, the type of contract partners I bring on to execute, and then how I literally walk around. I'm looking out my window right now in my neighborhood. I'm the annoying guy walking down the street. If you see me, we're going to talk because I'm going to ask how your dog's doing, or I'm gonna go bug you and try to talk to your kid. Now, COVID was weird, it was kind of hard for me, but that people helping people thing comes all the way around. Like you said about Louisiana, maybe that's part of it. If I see someone out cutting down a tree and moving some limbs in the neighborhood, I'm gonna go help them. And it's not just for them. I'm not gonna lie here. It's for me. At the end of the day, I'm gonna be able to lay down and feel good about what I've done and actually had a positive impact. And you want to talk about the change it brings having a new little baby girl. It's even worse now. I'm even worse now. I'm just thinking about what would I do if I wasn't around? Have I put enough good juju in the world so that someone will help take care of my baby girl if she's stranded on the side of the road one day and her car breaks down? Like, will someone help her? Right. Am I a good enough human to somehow change the world? No, but if I bug enough people with my people helping people mentality, it's going to catch on a little bit, and the people around me, or for better or for worse, going to have to hear it and probably say it a couple times.
Well, I think that we all need that kind of thing. And I think we can all get so stuck in just what we're focused on that we can kind of tend to block out the noise of anybody else or block out the opportunity to be that kind of person and get out of our own schedule. Entrepreneurship is a full schedule. You look at your calendar and it is just chock full of every single thing you need to do that day. Yeah. So is there, going back to the last question, is there anything daily? Because I know that, I've struggled with this in the past before. Like I had a marketing agency several years ago, and it literally is. That was where the name for this show came from. It's an up and a down. It's up. You signed a couple of new clients. It's a down. Nobody's buying from you. You're hearing no a lot. It is that constant stress, and you just have to get comfortable with a certain level of stress and how you manage that. And it just becomes kind of that foundation. Yep. But I remember waking up one morning, got out of bed at 6 a.m., whatever time it was, and I had literally a dime-sized circle on the back of my head of just hair missing. Had fallen out. It's not in the bed. I don't know where it is. It's just my new little circular bald friend back there now. Man. But the stress is just so much, and it just comes out in different ways. But I was absolutely at that point not leading with happiness first. I was leading with, I've got to pay bills first. I've got to grow the company first. I've got to over deliver for customers and answer every email at midnight first. So is there anything that, the people that are right there with us now that are doing something, that are hustling, maybe burning the candle at both ends, where they can just wake up, say something to themselves every day, or just get in the right headspace so that they can get closer to that leading with happiness first?
Yeah, I mean, it gets deep and kind of woo-woo, but I mean, you got to realize everybody, maybe it's because you go through stuff. I also had a tumor and I had to deal with chemo, and I lost all my hair at one point, which sucked. So, like, you go through the things being whatever they may be for you, and you over time learn that everyone's just another human. We put our pants on one leg at a time, right? That may or may not be true. Maybe you can put it on two legs at a time. I don't know. Maybe you don't have to.
I've tried. It's hard. I fell off the side of the bed. I've tried.
It is. Yeah, I know, you're right. But like when you keep taking that little cliche further, it's, what if you don't have two legs? What if you only got one leg? What if you got one arm? My grandfather had one arm, right? That's not really part of what made me who I am, but it's part of this logical kind of approach to shit happens, pardon my French. Everyone's living their own life, has their own battles. So your clients, if we're talking to other entrepreneurs that are trying to get up and be pumped up about what's going on, and they're stressed about that first call, or they didn't check that email in time, wake up. First, be good to yourself. If you're not good to yourself, you're not going to be anything to anybody else. You got to wake up, even if it's, tactical things like get outside, get some sunlight in your eyes. We could talk about your circadian rhythm, get to where you're seeing sunlight, your body's waking up, you're getting started maybe a little earlier, maybe something like that. I don't know if that's your thing. But then for me, it's podcasts like this, or podcasts that kind of help me. They used to be, when I was younger, it was podcasts about hustle and success. Now it's podcasts about, happiness and patience and, being happy in the pursuit of living life, not, happiness in the pursuit of making money. And when you do that, and I know it's easier said than done, but like when I do that, and then a client calls me or someone calls me with a big issue, I'm in a totally different headspace when I'm going to talk to them. When they're freaking out and yelling at me about, let's say hypothetically, about something that went wrong in their world. Instead of me back against the wall, battling with what they're saying, it's, whoa, man, it really sounds like this is impacting not only you, but everybody around you. Like, how can let's take a step back. Let's address the core issues here first and make sure you're okay, client. Like, are you good? Like, let's not talk about the problem yet. Let's talk about you and life and happiness. Is this impacting your family? Like, what's going on? And from that, you immediately just realize and remind yourself, oh, another human here. If we're approaching it the right way and we're living life the right way, we're going to help each other get through this together, and we're gradually just going to just keep growing and getting better. Again, it's cliche, but that's just the way I look at it, and it works.
And I love that you said be good to yourself first, because that's exactly it. And whether being the gym to get exercise, just to get your mind out of work mode for a little while.
Yep.
Like you said, just going out and getting some sunlight on your face, taking the dog for a walk around the block, just to kind of level set before you dive into it.
Yeah.
And it was super interesting what you said a while ago about really having that small to medium sized business focus, because we can have a greater impact on the people, because the people in a small business, chances are you're going to be working with the head person, the CEO, the founder, whoever that person may be, as opposed to working, for a big company and having a lot of different people that you're working with. Yep. Where did that come from? What was it that made you kind of say, man, I really want to work with these people because I can have the greatest impact on them?
Yep. That was, time. I could say time. I realized that, the more I focused on my happiness and my own, happiness first, build that foundation, helping people in my personal life, that's gradually just kind of lent itself to me now wanting to work with individuals that are good humans that are doing good things. And then what's funny is it's like when I was younger, it was, I got to work with these sexy brands that are doing sexy things. And now it's, I want to work with this old man over here because he has seen a lot of things in this world. He's built this little widget business from nothing. And every time I talk to him, He is the freaking happiest dude, and all he wants to talk about is his grandkids, and he wants his dog to be in our meeting, and, you know, his company could be worth X, instead it's worth Y, and he's pretty damn happy. And that, seeing that multiple times again and again, has just reiterated to me how important that is. And I love it. And just being with those people just makes me happier, and you can have more of an impact with those people. And that's what actually, eventually, you know, so marketing firm, those are the type of people I try to work with. You know, you get up every day, if you're happy with yourself, and you kind of know you're making an impact, it helps out a little bit. But then you get back to the entrepreneurial side, you know, back to an example of how this approach has manifested itself into something else entrepreneurial for me is surround myself with people I like working with. One of my first clients 8-9 years ago was a large franchise group of restaurants. Start working with these guys and gals, really learning a ton on the restaurant side of things from them. You know, I'm just a marketing guy. My job in life and career in marketing has been get butts into seats, not know what to do once butts are in seats. You know, meaning I don't know how to run a restaurant necessarily, but I know how to get butts in seats. Well, right. You know, and working with this group over the years, it was all about, you know, helping them build their franchise group and surrounding myself with contract teams and internal teams that knew what they were doing, that were pretty happy doing what they were doing, and that were building something. You know, it's easy to say, well, they're building a restaurant group just to make a lot of money. Well, you know, within said restaurant group, there are a lot of human beings. And the approach that this company, originally my client, takes is, you know, people first. You got to take care of them. That server out in the middle of Kansas, you know, we're sitting here in Dallas, you know, it's a small town Kansas. They got a lot of things going on differently than we've got right here sitting in Dallas in the ivory tower, so to speak. And this company kind of approached it like that. So the example of me surrounding myself with good people and doing things that make me happy, how does that tie into entrepreneurship? Was one example is this group ended up, you know, bringing me in after 8 years to be a partner and a co-owner in one of their new concepts, our new concepts. Because, I mean, why? Because why? I mean, you know, 8 years of me being pretty decent to work with and doing pretty good work. You know, I'm pretty good at marketing and growing a business, but it's more important that I'm kind of, you know, fun, or, you know, I really care about other human beings. So they've kept me around, and that keeping me around has lent itself to them then, well, if I'm going to do a new business venture, then I probably want to work with someone that I know is pretty good at what they do on the marketing side, but also a pretty good human, because I'm going to be spending a ton of time with them, and I want to be able to have a good time doing it. And so that has led to, David, you've actually been, and I appreciate that, Baja Ritas.
Fantastic.
Yes. Yeah. So now, you know,
we will definitely make sure to plug Baja Ritas in this. For anybody listening in the DFW area, or if you're coming to the DFW area, make sure to go check that out. Landon will be there himself, so go and check it out. It's a fantastic place.
Yep.
Keep going.
Yep.
Keep going.
Yep. I'll serve you too. Well, the point being, you know, what's interesting in that is all of those things led to me then partnering with my original client, because I partnered and I worked with people that I liked. You know, it led to a business partnership. And then to take the, you know, the cliche feelings even further, we opened a restaurant in a pandemic, and everyone's pretty stressed. You know, everyone, the world, you know, the city you're in, the restaurant industry's hurting. You know, it's really tough. And then you got me walking in and dealing with our teams and trying to do these rah-rah speeches and going to speak to local community events and stuff. And customers are leaving bad reviews when we opened because we were working through some kinks, right? So we got a couple bad reviews, and I would reply to them within 10 or 15 minutes. And it wasn't a, hey, I'm sorry for a bad experience. What can I do? It was, hey, John, man, that sounds bad. Sounds pretty bad, man. Look, here's what we're going to do. I love those fish tacos. If they didn't taste good to you, that's a bigger problem than you know. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to meet you at the restaurant next week. You know, let's do this. Let's meet up, talk about it. Because if you live in that community and you don't enjoy my fish tacos, this is a bigger problem than your current feelings. We need to work on this and work with each other to make it better for everybody. Simple, very simple, but that type of thing. So fast forward now a year and a half, when something happens online or someone leaves a good review, everyone kind of piles on. It's, oh, yeah. I always see that guy. You know, that guy always comments back. He always says stuff. He always kind of makes jokes about things. Or when I see people at the restaurant, they're like, are you the Landon guy? The guy from Google Reviews or Yelp? I'm like, yeah. Yeah, and they're like, "Wow,
That's me.
you're animated on there." I'm like, "Oh, you think that was animated? Now I've got a margarita. Let's talk."
Now you see me in person.
Yeah, let's go. But all of it, again, it all comes back to approaching things or viewing that through that lens of happiness first. If that person is leaving a bad review, for example, it's not just about your tacos. It might be about their experience. It might be about their anxiety about being in public again. It might be for something deeper. So don't just write it off to that's a mad human. Think about what might be happening there with that human and be a good human back. And that helps out a lot.
Man, and you nailed it just a little bit ago where you said we never know what's going on in somebody else's life. There could have been anything that happened to him at work today. He got into an argument with his boss, flat tire on the way to work, and he didn't take it out on anybody there, but he went, had dinner, and that's when he just decided to let it all out. So,
Yep.
Have you ever said no when it comes to the people that you work with? Because it's so much of a focus on working with the people that you want to, have you had to say no before?
Yep. Much more in the last few years because after the things have happened, after life has happened, and I'm sitting here, and I can promise you this, I'm not saying no because I've made enough money. I'm not saying no because I don't need it. But, starting with that happiness first foundation, I'm saying no because I can't wake up tomorrow morning and know that I have an email from that person and they're mad about something. And if I call that person at 8 a.m. and I know they're going to answer the phone and say, all right, it's about time you called me back. Here's what's going on. Not going to happen. Not going to work with them. Not going to do it. And that was a couple of, over the last 2 years, there's been a couple of big projects that came through that I brought on multiple contractors. Let's say we built the brand for them. We built their digital presence, their website. We were running these ongoing content components, building out a strategy there to drive people to buy their whatever. And I've had to shut it down middle of the agreement and lose money, lose a lot of money and pay my team still because, one, my team has to keep trusting me. And if I'm bringing in a team that's people a lot like me that are working from home, I've got mothers that are home taking care of their kids, and then I'm bugging them throughout the day to try and help me with some marketing stuff for a client. There's no way I could lay my head down at night and be comfortable if I know they were dealing with an angry human that was a client of mine. I just can't do it. And I'll try to help the client as much as I can. And even in those instances where I've had to say no to a client or shut it down and lose money because it was keeping me up at night, I still come to them with the solution. It's not just I don't drop them and say, good luck, you're an asshole, pardon my French. It's, look, you view things a little bit differently than I do. I think you need a full-time person that you can just have there so you can talk to them and converse in person. Here's what you need to do. Here's what you should hire. Here's some assets. Here's things that might help you. I'm out. I'm going to go do this, but call me if you need me. And still approaching it with that people helping people mentality, even though in the back of my mind, it's, leave me the hell alone. This is a nightmare. I can't be happy if I'm waking up dealing with you every day.
And that really kind of, I've always felt that going that extra mile, making that focus, and trying as hard as possible just not to compare yourself to others, especially in the world of places like social media or like you talked about a while ago, when you see another marketing agency and you scroll down and it shows the companies that they're working with, and they're working with all these big brands, and you're like, man, I want to, if only I could work with them, maybe I would be elevated to that same level, but I'm working with smaller companies or smaller founders, but it's not about that. And I just feel like so many entrepreneurs, myself included, you see everything else out there and it feels like everybody's making it because they're not going to post things where they're not making it. They're not going to show the failures most of the time.
Yeah.
And I think as long as we can stay focused on just what you're talking about, leading with compassion and happiness and helping, and not helping in I'm doing it for me way, but a genuine, how can I help? How can I help build a bridge? Even if I'm not going to make any money off of this deal, doesn't matter. How can I help this person with an introduction to somebody in my network that's going to be helpful for them? Yeah. I'm a firm believer that the universe kind of takes note of that and, rewards you on the backside. yeah, I mean, the comparison part for me is just where we just have to start to kind of tune it out.
It's a beating, man, and that I have an interesting view on that for the reasons I've already said. Right, you go through enough stuff in your life, you view things a little differently anyway. But then in marketing, a lot of digital marketing, so I see thousands, millions of consumers online talking all day, every day. So I understand human behavior. I see what all these people are talking about and saying publicly. And then by leading with compassion, as you put it, like I also know a lot of these people, and I've talked to them, and I've spent time with people that, you know, that are on their deathbed and had conversations about life with them. And you bring all those things together, and it really just, it aligns perfectly in my brain and helps me realize everyone's going through something. Everyone is either faking it till they make it, or trying to hide things that are going wrong because they don't want to be judged or because of some other reason. But that's where it comes back to, you've got to be happy with yourself and content with what you're doing. And again, I mentioned the elderly folks that I've had conversations with, just because, and there's studies that say this, you know, like if you talk to people on their deathbed, that they're not going to say they wish they'd worked harder and made more money. You know, you've heard it, I'm sure, multiple times.
Sure.
And I used to hear that, and now I've asked the question more times than I understand it fully. That, and at the end of the day, if you got enough money in the bank, that's going to help pay some bills, but it's not going to help make you happy and like lead to a better, more fulfilled life. And that's what it's all about to me.
Fabulous. Well, this is a great spot, I think, again, to let people know exactly how they can connect with you, how they can find your fantastic restaurant here in Dallas. So the floor is yours. Tell everybody how they can find you.
Thanks, man. So my day job is, as I say, Double L Brands, doublelbrands.com. It's a marketing firm. You know, I come in as essentially, you know, strategy quarterback, come into small, medium business and tell you what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, and what I think you might be able to do it better. And better might mean make more money, or it might mean build a company that makes it a little more fun and more happy internally, right? I'm not going to say culture consultant, but that kind of always is a part of it. But so Double L Brands is what I'm doing on the marketing front. If you need any help with there, you can find me at doublelbrands.com. Where I have fun. So that's where I make a little bit of money. Where I have fun is Baja Rita's, which is Baja-inspired Mexican restaurant up in Louisville, Old Town Louisville. And that's Baja Rita's, BAJARITAS.com. I'm not asking you to come because I need you to come spend money and support me. I'm asking you to come because I think we built something that's pretty freaking fun. And we got some live music and good food and good margaritas if you're into that kind of thing. And it's really cool. And then, just in and around Dallas. I mean, if you're here, if you or your kids or your colleagues or your friends or family or your co-founders have questions about life, the pursuit of happiness, or the pursuit of living life, and any business, marketing, growth questions, I'm here. I mean, connect on LinkedIn, Landon Ledford, Twitter, Landon C. Ledford. I don't care. Figure it out. Google it. Find me. And I can promise you what won't happen is you won't reach out and hear crickets. You're going to hear something, probably more than you wanted, because that's what it's all about. We're going to talk. Trust me.
Well, that's fantastic. And I'm going to make sure to link all of this in the description, make it super easy for people to get in touch with you. But yeah, that's, like I said, I think you hit right on it. It's a daily thing, starting with that foundation of focusing on yourself first. Because as you so eloquently put it, if you're not focusing on yourself first, you're not going to be worth much to your customers, your clients. And they're going to pick up on that. They're going to feel that stress that you're carrying around. And it's not, it's just not going to be helpful for either party. But Landon, that's been fantastic. And thank you again for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, man. This is awesome. Appreciate it.
Freedom over fame. Freedom over cycle stays the same.